where I'd want to be.
Lingering Souls is really nice.
Yeah.
There are answers, but you do force them to have them.
One thing I am interested about is these are two decks that after this weekend, so right now this matchup's close, and you said Jeskai might even be a little favored.
Mm-hmm.
After this weekend, both of these decks are going to get a huge shot in the arm.
Yes.
I'm interested to see, and I think it's going to be a relevant point to the format. Once you give each, once Abzan gets Bloodbraid and once Jeskai gets Jace, who wins the head-to-head matchup, I think is a really important question.
Yeah, I think that the more fair your Jace deck is, so if you have a deck like this that just has interactive spells and you throw Jace in there, I think you're pretty weak to Bloodbraid Elf. If you're more of a combo-oriented deck, that is things that you want to brainstorm into or brainstorm away, Blood Moons, Through the Breach combo, I think that you start to be good in these matchups.
Yeah. Inquisition of Kozilek from Jadine shows Gideon of the Trials, Is It Staticaster, and Logic Knot, along with 3 other lands. So she'll have her choice of cards to take. Yeah, I think where I'm getting at is just the general question of, like, of the fair decks, who's the best at playing fair Magic, to me has always been relevant to a format.
Yes.
And it's, when Bloodbraid was on the last time, way back in, like, Standard, the issue with Bloodbraid Elf and Standard was that the Bloodbraid Elf deck won all the fair matchups.
There were so many decks designed to beat it,
and they couldn't.
Didn't do it.
They couldn't. Yeah, anyone playing fair, like, the decks that could compete with it were things like Valakut could compete with it because, hey, I'm not playing fair, or, like Boros with a really heavy burn suite. You'd main deck things like Earthquake. You try to burn them, and you're like, okay, maybe burn can beat them. But then when you start being like, I'll play blue-white control against your Jund, it's like, I'd like to see you try.
Yeah. Oh, Wild Denial, Spreading Seas, whatever. Cast more Bloodbraid Elves.
I mean, and Blue-White Control had great cards. It had Jace the Mind Sculptor, Gideon Jura, and it's like, no, they're going to Jund you.
Jadine took, is a Staticaster with her Inquisition here. Setting up for some Lingering Souls, you have to imagine.
Yeah, a draw of Lightning Bolt from Clyde Martin. Clyde's deck is, interestingly, I feel like under some pressure here. So Jadine, because she's playing Abzan, all her cards just are standalone good, right? Just no unconditional, they're good. Clyde has a bunch of really efficient cards, but they're answers.
Right.
So, so like Lightning Bolt is a good card, but it's only good if Jadine's making a Grimflayer.
Bit of a misstep for Clyde there.
Yeah.
He played Sulphur Falls as land for turn there because it's free to put it on tapped.
And then reached for Gideon of the Trials.
Right. Can't cast that off of only one white source.
That's a big miss for Clyde. We'll see how Jadine capitalizes. I mean, I'm assuming it's Lingering Souls. She makes Godless Shrine. It will be the card. She took the Staticaster just to do that.
Yep. She knows that Clyde has Logic Knot, but that can only deal with half of the card.
That's fine. This is what Abzan does, Both players tapped out for 3 mana, made something on 3, and at the end of the exchange, Jadine had more. That's exactly how Abzan plays.
Yep.
It's like we traded cards, I gained some life. We traded cards, I got something in my graveyard. I got something.
Yep.
So Gideon of the Trials is made by Clyde. We've seen these in some of these Jeskai decks. It is okay in this matchup. I don't think I want to give it any praise more than that.
I feel like in Modern, with how high the power level is, there's a very small number of matchups where this card's actually exceptional. I'm thinking specifically Ad Nauseam. That's the matchup where you really want this card.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like a sloppy, slow, life-gainy Oblivion Ring in every other matchup.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. It's going to be okay here. You see Jadine flashes back Lingering Souls and then makes Dark Confidant. It might even be less than okay. Confidant will lead a Lightning Bolt. I guess it gives Clyde the option to race if he wants to. See, he draws Logic Knot. But he's running out of resources. His hand is Colonnade, Land, Logic Knot, and he'll pass. He's going to use the Gideon to do something. But Jadine can just use the Lingering Souls to chop down the Gideon.
Yep. Colonnade's not bad once Clyde can start using that as a blocker on the Lingering Souls. But he does need to draw things that aren't counterspells. He needs to play to the battlefield a little bit more. Unclear what Jadine has. She has 3 copies of Fulminator Mage in her sideboard. Drawing some of those would be excellent against these Colonnades. There is the matter of resolving them. But she has more cards in hand currently. I think 4 still in her holdings to Clyde's 2, one of which is another land.
I mean, that's what... I keep calling her deck Jund. Abzan's white Jund. I don't have a good name for the black-green deck. It's like just vanilla Jund.
I still bias towards calling it the Rock. I can't get away from that.
Swing, Gideon down to 1 loyalty. I guess that is that is the name.
It's certainly not evocative of Jund when I think of Jund, those black-green lists.
It's white Jund. This is what Liliana of the Veil. That'll take a logic knot. Clyde gonna leave up a mana and delve away a card.
Yeah, doesn't really need that Flood of Stranding graveyard.
A bit of a bluff there.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Jadine has already played into Spell Snare with the Dark Confidant.
Yeah.
So
it is a good opportunity to bluff. Now, the play patterns are such that Abzan's not going to respect your bluffs anyway. Like, okay, you have Spell Snare? Cool, 2 mana card. Like,
also, if you're not playing against me, you know that your opponent has registered too few copies of Spell Snare and generally won't have it.
Yeah, you're like one of the only people that plays that card.
It's in most lists, but it's only one or two in most lists.
You play 4. Here's Tarmogoyf. Oh, no. Remember I said they're going to play into the Spell Snare? Well, I wasn't there.
Yeah. That worked out real well for Jadine.
5-6 we have. So we have the main 4 plus Liliana.
Yep. About to see a second Planeswalker hitting the bin, I have to imagine.
Yep. And that's, again, the situation of they traded and Jadine got something. You know, this getting into the trials, once it trades away, Jadine didn't actually spend a card on that. She's going to just take the time, remove it with Lingering Souls, plus 1 more card for Abzan. Colonnade, activation, and swing. I do like Clyde's approach here, where instead of trying to just continue to trade cards, he just said, I'm never going to win that fight. Hit you for 4.
Yeah, shocked off Holophon to do that. Jadine is down to 8.
Yeah, this is a smart by Clyde. This is the correct way to be playing the matchup.
Okay. Draw some burn spells.
Those souls chop down the Gideon. It's gone.
Post sideboard, you're pretty unlikely to have your Colonnade hit by a Fatal Push or Path.
Now, there are some worries. Jadine could get even something like a Shambling Vent. 2 more souls. That'll hurt.
That makes it tough to break through with Colonnade.
Snapcaster Mage, drawn by Clyde. He has Logic Knot and Lightning Bolt in the graveyard.
It's a fine draw.
Yeah, your opponent's at 8. They're not getting life yet. I don't mind a Snapcaster, but there's 5 more damage he needs to find, and I'm not sure where he's going to look for it.
There's a good amount of burn spells still in the deck. He's leaving up Celestial Colonnade as a blocker. It makes it a little tough for Jadine to break through. If he starts drawing Electrolyzes, that can deal a lot of damage. That's probably the best one because it does damage and redraws. And 8 is a life total that the 2 actually matters.
He needs to find his Invoke the Fire Mind. That'll get him there. You know, there was a year at Nationals where people played that card.
I believe you.
It was Blue-Red Tron.
Yeah, that was a standard deck for some time.
Yeah. It's like really, if you don't know the card, look it up. It's real bad Sphinx's Revelation.
Sphinx's Revelation never dealt damage. And this card generally drew cards. But didn't deal damage.
It's like if Sphinx's Revelation gave you the option of gain X life or draw X cards.
Yeah, it's a lot worse.
And it's a sorcery.
JD is just sending the whole team.
Yeah.
Even with this attack, she gets to flashback Lingering Souls, and that sets her up to block the Colonnade.
Snapcaster Mage. Targeting Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt shoots Jadine. She's at 5. I think Snapcaster's jumping in front of Tarmogoyf, maybe? No, that's an end step one. He goes to 6. He'll draw. Jadine did not make another play.
Must have removal spells.
Yeah, like there's no way this Activate Colonnade and Swing just gets her. Now, what she might do, an intelligent move on her side, is if he activates Colonnade, she will try to remove it before combat so that if he has a negate, he'll lose his attacker.
Right, you have to tap it to cast the spell. Can't attack anymore. I mean, the fact that she didn't flashback Lingering Souls, that's got to be
flag.
Exactly. Paying respect to Supreme Verdict, but leaving yourself dead on board is very suspicious.
Yeah. Now, the Snapcaster wasn't on board, so she wasn't technically dead, but I mean, you should put your Jeskai opponent on having Snapcaster most of the time.
Right. And it was just, you're only a couple burn spells away, you know. 3 cards in hand, wasn't doing anything. It makes sense for there to be a Fatal Push or a Path in her hand. Imagine post-board it would just be Fatal Push. Everything you're targeting in this matchup is going to be Snapcaster Mage or Creature Lands.
You know, Ryan, I was going to do my slow and steady bingo. You know, getting to the trials, Emblem is on my card. You know, someone cast it. You know, he's going to concede.
Yeah, there was Fatal Push there for Jadine.
So, with Obs on, Jadine Klomparens improves to 2-0. And it's our second time we've seen these Thoughtseize Tarmogoyf decks would take the match here. Even in a field where it may be more difficult for them.
Yeah, Jadine is certainly one of the better Abzan Jund players, certainly that we cover. She's just consistently excellent. She's written a lot about these style of decks for StarStateGames.com. A lot of really good strategy and theory articles. You can learn a lot from reading her pieces, actually. She's consistently one of the better writers.
Has said she's going back. I talked to her already. She said next week it's going to be Jund.
Yes. Got to be excited for Bloodbraid Elf.
Her response was she's not sure if it's Jund or 4-color. Said she's not sure she wants to give up Lingering Souls in the metagame right now. It's a really strong card, but yes, she'll be playing Bloodbraid Elf.
I buy that. Lingering Souls and Bloodbraid Elf both play pretty well against Jace.
Yeah, perhaps just a very light white splash for it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it for round number 2. Now, we actually, this weekend is our largest open in SCG Tour history. 913 players here in Indianapolis. So we're excited to see what decks rise to the top here. Modern's a great format right now. Pretty excited about it.
Oh, yeah. That's sweet. We're going to see a ton more decks, I'm sure.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's going to be round number 3. Join us from the Indianapolis Open.
Go.